Hey guys, welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today, we're doing the Las Vegas Raiders and my offseason plan that I've laid out for them. So if you guys do enjoy, please give a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post next. Let's get into it. The Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I want to first say thank you guys so much for the support of the series so far. We're averaging like 35 views right now on all my videos of the offseason plans. Absolutely amazing. I love the engagement. I love commenter that I can respond to, kind of explain some ideas. But let's get into this rebuild. So with the re-signings, we have $36 million going into the re-signings. So the very first re-signing I want to do is Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs obviously had a down year compared to last year where he led the league in rushing. This year at 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3.5 yards per carry. As I said, had down season compared to 2022. He would have had 1,000 yards if he played all games. But with his average, carries to yards per game, would have had over 1,000 if he did play all the games, but had some kind of injuries this year. Saquon type deal. I give him a fully guaranteed 1-year deal. I think I want to see what Antonio Pierce can do with him in a full off season. 1 year fully guaranteed. Give him $13 million. I believe that's number 8 running back money. I think he would take it for fully guaranteed money. The Raiders would do it because they can get him down for 1 more year and not commit long term to him as of yet. Next re-sign is Amik Robinson. He had 42 tackles, 2 interceptions, 17 stops, and a sack. He's a solid corner. Since Nate Hobbs has come in, Amik Robinson got kicked to outside corner, and he's been doing pretty well. He's developed an outside corner. Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs, and Amik. With Antonio Pierce playing full, those games where Jack Jones came in to be cornerback number 1. Then you had Nate Hobbs that got slot and Amik at the other outside corner. This cornerback room completely changed into something what was way different than underneath Josh McDaniels and his leadership. I think he's really good. He's a young, talented corner. You put him with Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones and make a really good trio. They can all continue as they all develop together. So I gave him a 2-year, $11.5 million deal, $5.5 million guaranteed. That is 47% guaranteed. A little less guaranteed than I usually do, yes. But I think, maybe you want to restructure the deal next year to where he gets more guaranteed money. But I think you get him his guaranteed money this year, and you figure it out next year if you want to keep him. But he at least gets that $5 million guaranteed in the first year. Then I'm going to be re-signing Jermaine Illuminor. 69 PFF grade, 64 pass blocking, 72 run blocking. He had 5 penalties and 6 sacks. Yes, the penalties and sacks were a lot, but I still think he's a steady starting right tackle for an NFL team. You can solidify the bookends of your offensive line with Colton Miller at left tackle, Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. They're playing well. Why mess up the vibe and the energy going on right now? And you can help develop a young quarterback. Having 2 tackles that are starting level caliber in the NFL is something that every NFL team wants. And I think Jermaine Illuminor has proved he's worth it. Colton Miller has, obviously been the bookend left tackle for them. So I decided to give him a 3-year, $44 million deal, $23 million guaranteed with 52% guaranteed. I just think that this would be the best move, not only for Jermaine to stay in Las Vegas, where he's kind of been given that chance to fully start, but also for the Raiders to continue that development of the offensive line. Then for the cuts and trades, we're at $7 million after all that. I decided to go with Jimmy Garoppolo being traded or cut, no matter which one you want to do. I decided to do a trade in the end of the day. Jimmy G had 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions in his games he did start this year. He had a horrible year, just straight up. But he got benched for rookie Aiden O'Connell, who actually kind of helped them develop this season and have a better season than they would have had. Offense looked much better under Aiden O'Connell as well. You can either save $13 million cutting him, or you save $24 million trading him. So what I decided to do was obviously go through with the trade and say, you know what? Let's call around the league, see who would want Jimmy Garoppolo. So I decided to make a trade to the Atlanta Falcons of Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they could really use that veteran option for that long-term development. Maybe they could draft a quarterback and have him sit behind Jimmy G. I do think Jimmy Garoppolo has years of quality playing ahead of him still. I think he needs to go to a system he's familiar with. And I think that's, Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson get the most out of Jimmy Garoppolo. Because I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a lesser version of Jared Goff. More that game manager type. But I think Jimmy G still has good football. I think Zach Robinson can really get it out of him. So you trade a 6th-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo in that contract. I think that makes a lot of sense for both sides. The Raiders move on fully, and they go with Aiden O'Connell or a rookie quarterback this year. And the Atlanta Falcons can either go with Jimmy Garoppolo or another younger quarterback. But, Jimmy Garoppolo can be that steady starter for you this upcoming season. Then Devontae Adams, I'm also going to be trading. I decided to trade Devontae Adams had 103 receptions for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. For me, as I said with the Jets video, when there's smoke in the NFL, there's fire, and it's just too much smoke about Devontae Adams being traded to the Jets, so I think that is going to happen. Would be surprised if he's on the roster week 1 in Las Vegas. You can get a great return for him. You save $18 million trading him. It makes too much sense to trade Devontae Adams. And I, obviously, as you guys know, in my Jets video, I said that a third-round pick and a conditional first-round pick for if he meets the 1,200 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns receiving, that 2025 pick is a first. If he gets less than 1,200 yards and less than 8 touchdowns, it would then be a second-round pick. That's what I've been saying. That's what I think could make a lot of sense for both sides and Devontae Adams. Then the last trade I'm going to be doing is Hunter Renfrow. This year had 25 receptions for 255 yards and 0 touchdowns. He has been used for a few years now. Wasn't used really last year. Josh McDaniels just didn't like him. I'll just be honest with you guys. It's weird that, with Julian Edelman and with Wes Welker under, with Josh McDaniels in his offense, he couldn't use a Hunter Renfrow slot receiver type. But I do think you can get something in return for Hunter Renfrow. You save $12 million no matter what, cutting or trade him. So I decided to trade him to the New Orleans Saints for a 4th-round pick to where Derek Carr can get his number 1 receiver in 2019 and 2020 back on his team. And I think that the New Orleans Saints could use another receiver. I think Hunter Renfrow is a great option for them in the slot. And again, I still think he has a couple of years ahead of him as well of still solid of play. Then I did one restructure. I don't see Jacoby Myers being cut from the team. So I decided to restructure, get $7 million back from him. So you're moving in the free agency with $61 million. And I used it. Guys. And my very first signing is Antoine Winfield Jr. He had 87 tackles, 3 interceptions, 6 forced fumbles, 26 stops, and 6 sacks this past season. Got snubbed from the All-Pro list. This is one of the best safety seasons I have personally seen, watching football. He was the best safety this year, hands down. Snubbed from the All-Pro team, as I said. He's going to get a mega contract this offseason. And if I'm Antonio Pierce, I think Antoine Winfield is the exact type of player you want in the secondary. Hard-hitting safety who is going to play all over the field, and it's just going to be a culture piece for you as well. He already has a Super Bowl ring as well, so he wants that fire to go back to another Super Bowl. I decided to give him a 4-year, $91.5 million deal. That's $61 million guaranteed, 66% guaranteed. This is the number 1 safety in the league money. I think it just beats out Jesse Bates in Atlanta. So it's his number 1 safety money. But I think Antoine Winfield Jr. has earned it throughout his play in his career so far. Then the next signing, I'm going to be going with Hunter Henry. This year in New England, he had 42 receptions, 420 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's a starting level tight end in case Michael Mayer is not ready yet. He's better than Austin Hooper, and Michael Mayer Henry 2-man team could be really good for them. They're both elite receivers, so you can have a lot of, if you want to do a 5-wide offense, we have 5 receivers out. You could have big body tight ends that can, get mismatches against, smaller corners or slower linebackers. I think that would be really something that offense could really help Aiden O'Connell with. You spread out 2 tall tight ends that can receive. That's something that you want to work with. He had 6 touchdowns. He's a red zone threat. So I just decided to give him a $7.5 million contract. I just think it makes a lot of sense for both sides. Hunter Henry could start week 1 and be a solid tight end for this offense. And while Michael Mayer is still developing, you have Hunter Henry. And like I said, in sets where you want to put everyone on the field that can catch the ball, you would then have 2 really good starting tight end options to make mismatches on the field. But yeah, $7.5 million for Michael Mayer. Then the next receiver I'm going to go with is Darnell Mooney. Yes, you already have Jacoby Myers on the roster, but I think Darnell Mooney is better than a slot receiver. I think he can be a true wide receiver number 2. He had 31 receptions for 400 yards and a touchdown. He's a young number 2 receiver. Different play style to Myers. As I said, I think Myers is more that slot guy. I think Darnell is more of a number 2 who can play in the slot. When healthy, he has competent hands. He has solid route running. It's a cheap, high upside deal, but Darnell still gets his money. So I gave him a 2-year, $22.5 million deal, 16 3/4 guaranteed. That is 74%. I think if Darnell Mooney can get on the Las Vegas Raiders, especially post Devontae Adams trade, year 1 can have 1,000 yards, right? I think year 1 he'd be one of the best targets on this team. I think he's 6'3", maybe 6'2", I think, but he has pretty good size. He has good hands when healthy. That's just a big question: is can he stay healthy? I think if he can get healthy and stay healthy, he could be their number 1 receiver without question. Then I decided to get one more splash in Michael Hoyt for his defensive line. He had 44 tackles, 6 sacks, a forced fumble, and 28 stops this past season. He's been really good next to Aaron Donald for a few years now. He gets paid to be the number 1 D tackle on this team, and Raiders need a good young D tackle to start building this defensive line around. Yes, you have Max Crosby, but outside of that, you don't really have anyone on defense on the defensive line. I think Michael Hoyt can be that guy next to Max Crosby who can generate pressure, who can stop the run, who can just be an all-around all-around Swiss Army knife for them. So I gave him a 4-year, $57 million deal, $33.25 million guaranteed. That is 58% guaranteed. As you know, stay around that 60% guaranteed, and you'll be good. Again, I just think that Michael Hoyt can come in, be that starting D tackle, impact guy next to Max Crosby, who can generate pressure, stop the run, 3-down type of D tackle, which you could really need in the NFL. Moving on to the draft, you have $14 million. You usually want to keep around $9 million. But because we have a lot of draft picks in this draft, I decided, let's go with $14 million, not get any other guys that can play for us. Let's just go with $14 million, because as you can see, we have a whole lot of picks. So, in round 1, at number 13, I decided to go with Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. He had a great season with Jaden Daniels this past season. I think he has a high upside of being a number 1 wide receiver. But he's one of the best deep threats in the class. Upside to be a great number 1 receiver. Has a speed, has the hands, has a jump ball ability. He's going to climb boards at the combine with his frame and athleticism. If I'm not mistaken, he's 6'4". A 6'4" guy who caught 17 touchdowns, mostly because of his running, is something that I definitely want in a Las Vegas Raiders uniform. I think they need more impact wide receivers. I think Brian Thomas proved that if you can get him the ball, he's going to make plays, which you need in Las Vegas. Then at pick 44, I grabbed Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. He's a great D tackle prospect. Can be a 3-down D tackle. If you get Michael Hoyt and Chris Jenkins next to each other, that would be sublime for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's 6'3", 305. I would be surprised if he lasts this long. I think he's more of a top 30, top 35 prospect. So if I can get him at 44, great. That's just a perfect value for you. Then in the trade with Devontae Adams, you get that number 72 overall. You grab Javon Solomon out of Troy. He's been rising up my board. I believe it was Kamani Vidal. Is a running back from Troy. I'm trying to remember if that's who I'm talking about. But I watched a running back from Troy's film, and in that film, I just started watching Troy games. I'm like, I don't really watch a lot of Troy. I don't think I've ever watched a Troy game up until this draft, actually. And I watched Javon Solomon destroy offensive lines. So I want Javon Solomon on this team ASAP to start opposite of Max Crosby. Javon Solomon is a good run defender, but an elite pass rusher. He had 17 sacks and 24 hurries this past season. Elite. Troy has a lot of good prospects this year. Again, as I said, I was watching because they're running back, and he popped up on my screen. I'm like, whoa, Javon Solomon. Looked at the draft. I'm like, oh, he's coming out this year. This guy's coming out this year. This is really good. So now that I'm actually able to watch Javon Solomon, because I did watch one Troy game in preparation of this mock draft, because I wanted to talk about Javon Solomon, how much I actually like him as a prospect. Wow. Just wow. He uses power and speed to get to the quarterback. This is a dude that no matter what team he goes to, he's going to compete to start year 1. Like, that's how good this guy is. Then at number 77, I grabbed Trey Benson from Florida State. Great contact balance. If you hit him, he's not going to fall down. He's going to keep going, use his feet to keep moving. He almost never touches the ground. If you watch a lot of the Florida State games, Trey Benson's jersey might be completely clean. Like, this dude is really good. He's 6'1", 223. That's a great size for a starting running back. And he's going to climb boards during the process. I would not be shocked if he ends up being a second-round pick. Him in the third is a little too low. He's going to be a second-round pick. I wouldn't be shocked if someone trades up at number 32 and grabs Trey Benson for the 5th-year deal. Then at number 112, I do grab a tight end. I grab Cade Stover, another receiving tight end who has upside to be a run-blocking tight end. I know, it's another tight end, but I love my tight ends. Pause. Don't clip that. Oh my gosh. I like the tight end position in the NFL. I think that if you have a good receiving tight end who with upside and you can commit to trying to learn run blocking more, that's exactly what you want in the NFL. And Cade Stover is 6'4", 253. He can develop as a run blocker. Comes in, creates another red zone threat. Again, you can go a big lineup and get mismatches at corner. I really like the idea of 3 receiving tight ends on this team. Then you got Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. Every mock draft, I draft Bo Limmer. He started at left guard, center, and right guard in his college career. Can be a rotational backup at any of those positions. Then even with high upside of starting for you. Again, 6'5", 307. He has the upside to start day one. You guys already know about Bo Limmer. Like, you got when he gets drafted, I hope people think like Sports Stuff, Nick from Sports Stuff is gonna love that pick. Then with the Hunter Renfrow trade at 136, I decided to grab Bo Limmer. Then at 150, I decided to go corner and grab Kamal Hayden out of Tennessee. Kamal was having an elite season before he had that shoulder injury in October, I think it was. Pretty early in the season, only like 6 or 7 games played. But in those games, he had 3 interceptions. He's a ball-hawking corner who's aggressive when it matters, which I think is a really good thing. He can be probably more of a press man corner, but I think he's worth the potential you can get out of him. Because he probably won't start year one or play a whole lot. But this is a developmental draft pick I think could work out for you. Then at 189 with the Jimmy Garoppolo trade, I got Darius Mousau. Oh, I'm getting butchered. Darius from UCLA. He's a solid coverage linebacker, had 50 tackles at UCLA. Could be a rotation linebacker in certain coverages. You know, maybe on like 4th downs when they have to, 4th and 8, they have to get a first down. You can throw out Darius and maybe he can, help you get, defend the pass. But I do see him probably more as a special teamer year one. But maybe he can develop into something more than that. This team, the Raiders are primed to be a team that could actually use 6th and 7th round rookies and use them as impactful rotation guys. Darius could be one of those guys. Then at 190, I do grab Andrew Coker. I'm not saying the other word. Coker out of TCU. He played both tackle spots at left tackle and right tackle in the last couple of years. He can be a backup, someone that you can develop. He is 6'7", 315. That is promising. I love big tackles, dude. 6'6", 6'7", 6'8 tackles. I need him on my team. And if I can grab a 6'7", 315 tackle in the 7th round and then 6th round, that's something that I'm definitely looking at. Then in the 7th round, I grabbed Josh Proctor out of Ohio State. He had a good season as a full-time starter. 7 forced incompletions, impactful run defender. Again, at the 6th and 7th round, guys who are versatile or guys who have a really niche, like, he's an amazing run defender. He's an amazing pass blocker, but he sucks at everything else. That's what you need in the 6th, 7th round. Guys who are rotational guys who can come in and play a role. I think Josh Proctor is a great guy in run defending. Good size. I'm going to get 7 forced incompletions as well at safety. Solid, coverage guy, but definitely a better run defender than coverage guy. I think Josh Proctor can make a big impact in this weak safety room. But yeah, that's my draft. I think it's a pretty good draft. Gave me a B. This is definitely one of my favorite draft classes I've done in these offseason plans because it has depth at positions I love. Like, you have a starter at Javon Solomon III, a starter at 77, a potential starter eventually at 150, a potential starter at 44. I think Chris Jenkins could start day one, and a wide receiver 1 at pick 13. That's a great draft class. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in this draft class I could see within their first 2 years starting at their position, and then a bunch of rotation guys I think could maybe be starters. Like if they became a starter, like, oh, I saw it, but I didn't think they would hit that potential. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you did, hit the notification button to notify when I post next. And again, thank you guys so much for the love in this series. I love doing these kind of videos. It makes me learn more about the draft prospects. Like Javon Solomon, knew nothing about him before I started doing this Raiders mock draft. Now, he's my sleeper. He's a sleeper at edge. Like, I love Javon Solomon. I hope he succeeds. I think the Raiders could use a Javon Solomon on their defensive line. But again, if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.